Hello, my name is Brianna May. I will be showing a video today of some of Rusty's training sessions this semester. Some of this is a review of tricks he already knows, and some will show him learning a new trick. The first video is marking the clicker. A clicker is what I use as a marker word, but others may use a word or noise with their mouth, as long as it is the same every time. Rusty is already clicker trained, so this is a review for him. Before you do what I'm doing here, you will want to give your cat a treat while clicking or using your marker word 5 times. What I'm looking for from Rusty is that he looks for the treat when he hears the clicker. This can be either looking at the treat jar, the treat in my hand, or at me. On attempt 3 here, I took the treat out of the jar ahead of time and it confused him. It was a mistake on my part. It's okay to make these mistakes, but try to learn from them. On attempt 4, I did the same thing and it made it difficult to tell if he was looking at the treat because it was there or because of the clicker. On attempt 5, notice I start keeping the treat inside the jar until he looks for it. He only got 3 out of his first 5 attempts correct because of my fumble, so that means the set needs to be repeated until he gets 5 out of 5 correct. On this next set of 5, he actually does get all 5 correct. This means he can advance to a new trick in our next session. The next video is standing and high five. These tricks are also a review for him. You'll notice I'm still keeping the treat in the jar unless I need it for a less mastered trick, like with stand. I had to lure his nose upwards with the first treat to convince him to stand. And from there, he did each attempt immediately without the need to lure, and with me just holding the treat above his head. I called this a 5 out of 5, so we moved on to high five. Since this is a review trick for him, to teach him this, I started with paw like you would ask a dog to shake. He would have to place his paw on my flat horizontal palm, so transitioning to placing his paw on a flat vertical palm was pretty easy. Therefore, he ended the high five with the 5 out of 5 as well.
Good job.
In the next session, we started a touch with a target stick, and then we added some distance. This trick is a bit new for him. He knows touch with my finger, but the target stick is new. Target sticks can be commercially bought, but you can use any safe stick as one. I am using a stick from a broken Cat Wand toy. When we did his previous touch command, he would touch his nose to my finger, so adding the stick came pretty naturally to him. When I first started teaching touch, I would use a treat near my finger to lure him to touch it. For now, I am allowing him to chew a little bit on the stick, but as he masters this trick, we can advance to teaching him not to chew on it anymore. This will be accomplished by not giving him the treat until he stops chewing. And he did get a 5 out of 5 on his first target stick touch set. So we are going to start adding some distance. This is just enough distance that he has to stand up and take a step or two to reach the stick. More distance can always be added later. The first 3 attempts went pretty well. However, during attempt 4, he either got distracted or bored. When Rusty didn't follow through on walking toward the stick and touching, I moved the stick closer to him until he at least touched it with his nose. This is to make it easier for him. Attempt 5, he did perfectly, giving him a 4 out of 5. This means he should repeat this trick until he gets a 5 out of 5 before advancing onto something more difficult or stressful. Next, we did a session on starting the carrier training process. This is brand new for Rusty. I always leave the carrier in the main room, but I moved it to a more central location in the room the day of starting this to prepare him. I documented this part in photos. You can see freeze-dried minnows and salmon cubes around, 3 on top of his carrier, and 2 just inside. These are his jackpot treats, or the ones he absolutely loves more than anything else. I'm using high reward treats because of how stressful I anticipated this being. As soon as I moved the carrier into the main area, he started hiding. I set these treats up about an hour before bedtime, so within 15 minutes he began exploring the carrier. He scooted a treat closer to the edge of the carrier before finally being comfortable putting his paws on top of the carrier to eat the treat. I never actually saw him eating treats inside the carrier, but all of the treats were gone from on top of and from the inside the next morning. He got a 5 out of 5 since he ate all 5 of the treats. You can see there's a bit of a time jump here while I maintained some of his old tricks and chose some nights to just put treats in his carrier for him to gain confidence with that over time. He always ate all the treats out of his carrier, so I decided we were ready to start trying a carrier on command trick. I'm using the target stick to do this since he already learned touch with it and I can't fit my finger in the holes in the side. I'm not expecting him to go all the way in his carrier at this point, but he can advance to that as he improves. I'm also alternating carrier commands with tricks he already knows to prevent him from getting discouraged as he learns this stressful trick. I also find this helps keep his attention on me and his motivation to learn the new trick pretty high. At this point, I have also started not letting him get the treat if he's pawing at my hand. And to do this, I back the treat off until he puts his paw down or at least away from me, and then he gets the treat. And then this attempt confused him a little bit, especially on why I was interacting with the outside of the carrier and how that connects to him going inside the carrier. I made it easier by putting the stick in progressively closer holes until he felt comfortable touching the stick. And since this session, we have actually been able to remove the target stick from his training, and he can now enter the carrier all the way inside if I tap on the very outside of his carrier. He successfully does this on average 3 to 4 out of 5 times. It is still something that we're working on, but he's making pretty quick progress. You can see how rewarding it is to train cats, and I feel that it deepens the bond between owners and their little furry friends. I always feel that I have learned to communicate with Rusty much better since starting training him a couple years ago. Thank you so much for watching.